Renato Simeoni, the CEO of Reza, just released their March 2024 dev update. And today I'm going to go through this article, but also Race Department's article on it, since it had some extra clues for what we can expect. So let's just jump into the Razer forums and let me show you what it's all about. So as you can see here, from the start, we have a very interesting looking car, which, as you might see, is a Formula 1 car. And it's I will get into it a bit later. So they're talking about last year, he's talking about last year here, catching up, and then we get into here. Most of the team has been working on major new features and some exciting content due to arrive with our next milestone update, Automobilista 2 v1.6. A bit further down you will notice some of the content. But it will also come in the summer, which is the winter for them. But in v1.5.6, which is this update, no, that's the update that they will bring now, which has a few interesting stuff, which we'll be getting into. But first on the agenda is them getting the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship license. And to clarify something for you, that is not the MX-5 Cup or the TCR touring cars, because those are different tiers, as I've learned. If you go on the website, it's clear that you will see that. So you have to learn that this doesn't guarantee anything. But then when you get into it, a bit later, they say WeatherTech Sports Car Championship featuring yada yada. Our goal, though, through this very exciting partnership, is to align the remaining agreements required to have the 2024 season teams, cars, and venues represented in AMS2. A process that is already well underway with direct support from IMSA themselves. So here we come into a bit of a clarification, which I've gotten from, I think it's called Robbie Rard 3381 or something like that, on Thunder Flash's Discord. He stated they have licensed IMSA's WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. So they have licensed the competitions and all the naming rights and everything to do with that. The cars and the circuits, which they call venues, are different licensing, and also with the teams. Apparently the teams too. So you have to license all of those parts each, not directly with it doesn't come with the IMSA license basically. So let's say they want to license the Ferrari 296 GT3, they can't just plonk it in because it's in IMSA, but they have to talk about the licensing with Ferrari directly. But what's good, as they have stated here, is that they're discussing it using IMSA, with support from IMSA, which probably means that they will have a lot easier time getting these licenses, since they have the series. And then they also say, the partnership with IMSA is a key step to deliver on that promise of better endurance racing, with much more to come later this year, which will be very interesting. And now comes the interesting part about this update, that the V1.5.6 will bring some further improvements to the actual game. And they will bring some things from V1.6. First thing is graphics. So they have the shader, and the art and shade development has improved the looks of things, which you can see here, without any real major major impact on performance. So that's a very good thing. But what they're also doing is making use of their 3D trees and putting it on more tracks. Since a long time ago, in one of my previous videos, I told you about the new Bathurst historic layout, which they made, and also the Formula Inter, which must have been roughly a year ago. They promised that they will bring 3D trees to all tracks. Our 3D trees are as they sound. You take a tree and it's like real life. But what they normally have now currently are 2D trees, where it's a picture of a tree. So imagine me as a picture like this. And then when the car goes by, if you imagine the car is driving past here, where my chair is, I will be rotating around like this. And apparently in VR and things, it's quite clear to see them spin and turn around. So what they're doing is improving on the realism by making them actually 3D. And thankfully that doesn't bring a huge hit on performance. And then they're also changing the water shaders. And you can see it here because these are changes to the Ibarra circuit, or Ibaha, or how you want to call it. I don't know. So you can see quite clearly. Here, if we start, the water looks very nice. I can see the curbs and the grass still looks quite 2D. But that's from the top. Yeah, you can see it's a bit 2D. And then when you go down here, you can see the trees quite clearly here. They're very nice and beautiful 3D trees. They actually look a lot better than 2D trees if you just look at them. And then cars have gotten some few texture improvements, as you can clearly see here in the Corvette. Now with lower resolution it's not so good, but if you use a high resolution or watching on your mobile device, it looks very cool and quite realistic in my opinion. Then this is one of the most interesting things I have read through here. LiveTrack has gotten improvements, which is their thing about how water acts, surfaces, how everything like that interacts with grip and weather systems. So that's how it is. But they have also said LiveTrack is also getting a valuable new development, not only to its various intertwined dynamics, but also how these dynamics are represented in game. So intertwined dynamics. We obviously know that everything is together like this, but it's interesting words because they love he names intertwined, because the thing which they've talked about a lot is that LiveTrack is connected to replay, so they can't do the replays as much. You can't just jump because of LiveTrack, because it's intertwined in some way. So maybe they're trying to hint at something. I'm probably just reading too much into this, but this word intertwined makes me very interested and makes me think a lot. Then we have the rubbered inline or racing line in the dry is more distinctive, and also it will become more distinctive in the wet days. So I would say more of a wet line to match what iRacing have currently done with their wet weather implementation. Then the dust, they have also improved the dust and what happens when you drive over them, which you can see here. It gets a bit dusty. And this also looks a bit like Silverstone. Then obviously the physics. But the interesting thing is, it's still tires, but they will focus on tire thermodynamics, as in how heat exchanging and all of those stuff, which are quite neat and gritty, as in it's very important and in there, but I don't think, well, you will notice it, but it's not in the same way like floaty feeling, I would say. Tire wear, which they have talked about a lot. Hopefully they bring in punctures also, but that could be interesting. And hysteresis, which they explain quite clearly here. Steel Reserve explains it quite well, but if you don't want to read it, you can pause it now and read, or you can hear me explain. And basically it's talking about how much slip the tires allow before its grip is really lost, because when slipping it's trying to regain grip over this new surface it's sliding over, and if you slide it apparently too much or something like that, the speed, you might not get grip, so it will just go. So basically here, simply put, the more the tire slides, the less time the rubber has to sink back into the cracks and crevices of the track. Less rubber sinking in the track yields less friction, leading to less grip from that sliding tire. So what I'm interested, also here, the work on hysteresis is directly related to the firmware/damage revisions. Damage. Another word I might be reading into too much, but that makes me believe that they will add punctures. But that will be very interesting because my main point on these tires have been the grip when on going on throttle, because you're going slowly and then we're like on the exit of a corner. For example, let's say Monza turn 2, like the second corner in the first chicane. When you go out there and go on the throttle, it's often in the Formula Ultimate Gen 2 that you slip, that you go on the throttle and then you go bam. The rear goes outwards, you go boom, and then you spin, which is nice. But maybe this improves that. That's what I see it as, because they're improving the sinking and the sliding. So I would think that maybe it has more grip when going straight and going on throttle, because to me that's the biggest point of AMS2 which I don't like, and hopefully that improves. And what's also good, this V1.6 physics update will arrive in technically three cars, 2 classes. Stock Pro Series 2024, which is the V8 stock, their stock car version in Brazil, which is basically the same as last year, except the longer wheelbase, heavier, and you push the pass-throughs. But now we get back to the first picture, the Formula Ultimate Gen 2. So as you can see here, this is basically the Haas livery, this looks like a Renault livery, and these looks like, not Alpine, Williams liveries. But what they say is they make the performance, they make the performance of it and the physics more realistic, and the look. But what's also interesting is, with this overhaul, the Formula Ultimate Gen 2 gets a sexy new 3D model. I agree with Renato. Updated sound and new technical features to better simulate a modern GP car, which is very interesting. Because if we think about it, what technical stuff don't the cars have yet? Well, they have electric gearboxes, differentials, I believe, so they can control them, adjust them when going entry, mid, and exit of a corner. Well, that's in the rear. I think that could be torque vectoring, which might be interesting if they add it. But also brake migration, which is that when you brake, the brake bias might move forwards or backwards, depending on what you choose. So that's the really interesting if they add, because that means that they will also add it to the more LMDH cars. So that's hopefully, I hope for, they will add. Then also you might be thinking, this new model, KRT Dustin will have a hard time because he will have to remake all of them. Well, the livery template is already out, and fortunately he has hopefully has enough time to update the liveries, but let's see. We don't know, because the beta update just relaunched as of recording this, which I can say because it's on SteamDB, but it's on not for media, so I can't talk about anything yet. And then you have the Steam Spring Sale, which is very interesting. I don't know when it ends, but hopefully if you're watching this, you can still have time and buy everything. Then this is also interesting. They are hiring. Unfortunately, I'm not anyone they can target, but hopefully in a few years, at the end of this decade, hopefully I could be a target of theirs and I could work for them. But who they're hiring are C++ code engineers, car and environment 3D artists. But if you're passionate and talented, if you're a passionate and talented developer, misspelled by Renato again, with the skills to contribute in any area of development beyond the listed positions, we still welcome your application. Yeah, they're adding a thread with that where you can see what jobs they're looking for. But you can also contact these jobs at razorstudios.com if you think that you would be good, if you could improve on what Razer are currently doing. And that was the whole this whole thing. But let's go to race department, because there are some quotes by Renato from there which aren't in here, which are quite interesting. So now we're here on race department's website, and it seems like they've actually connected Renato personally, because you can see, oh, I forgot to talk about one thing, but here, the content is always the big flashy thing. We're happy to have the close the partnership with IMSA. But what they also said that they will be adding is, with V1.6, is a content manager. So you can pick and choose what content you want in MS2, which is quite interesting. But then if we look here, we will have pretty much the entire 2024 season represented. And we're closing in on some deals with manufacturers to have most of them represented. Most of them. This could mean that some might be left out, maybe Ferrari, but I don't think so. Maybe Lamborghini that will be. We will have to see. But that's interesting, because they also said that they might release or have all content. Hopefully they have all, but we will have to see. Yeah, they talk about it here. You have the Acura and Lamborghini. Maybe Acura is one of the big ones, which is Honda, which might be harder to get. Lamborghini too, but I think they might be able to get it. So in GT3s, Chevrolet they would be able to get, I think, because it's they already have connections there. Yeah, Lexus might be a bit hard. I think Lexus and Acura might be the hard ones. The Lamborghinis have already been found in the file, so I think they will come. Aston Martin has already been teased a long time ago, so I think they might come. Ferrari I think also might come with the connection to Ian Bell. And Ford Mustang, I think, will also come. Then you have Acura again. And then the Oreca 07, the LMP2 car, and the Ligier JSP 217 LMP2. I think Ligier might also be a bit hard, and Oreca, I think, will arrive. Then if we get to here, the plan is for V1.6, with more coming after that. So that's when they expect the content to come, which will be towards summer. And obviously doesn't want to give a time estimate, because he's Renato Simeone and he always doesn't follow up with them. But I think it will arrive like July, August. I think V1.5 arrived in roughly like June, July. And then I think V1.4 arrived in mid-August. So that's the thing you have to think about, that it's probably towards the end. Then if we go here, yeah, new UI for V1.6. And audio and shaders will also improve, as it states here. And also they're delaying the classic Le Mans content. But that was basically it, in my opinion. So what did you think? Comment it down below. Once you're down there, please hit the like button and also subscribe. My next video, we'll have to see what it's on, because it's the 17th of March. He said that the content will arrive this month, hopefully. So I would expect it to maybe arrive, at the end of this month, so maybe it will be a bit too hard for an update to arrive this for next week, for next video. So maybe we'll have to look forwards, but I have already a video which I might upload. But until then, I've been Racy Leaders, you've been my amazing viewers. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!